If I could ask everybody to grab a coffee or water and get seated, we'll get started with the program. I understand there are at least 100 people sitting at their desk, didn't have to go out in the snow to be able to listen to today's update on the budget for 2014-15. But I appreciate all of you who are either signed into the live streaming or who've been able to come here today for what has become, I think, a regular part of our process in terms of ensuring that you're fully apprised of what's going on in the university with respect to our budget for the upcoming year, and to allow you to answer or ask any questions of us regarding future plans. In terms of the program, we're going to give a little bit of an update on both the federal and provincial budgets, just so you get sort of the macro view. Then I'm going to turn it over to Drew and to Jake to start drilling down a little bit more in terms of the University of Calgary's specific budget, as well as some of the out-year issues and some of the opportunities that we'll be looking at. I did want to start by saying we're living in interesting times. I think if we look at the news, there's a lot of interesting changes that are going on around us, and of course we just saw yesterday a change in the leadership here in terms of the Premier of Alberta. We got some news this morning that the Minister for Innovation and Advanced Education will stay the same. So Minister Hancock will have both the premiership and he will continue as Minister of our portfolio. So I expect he will be a very, very busy person, but I will tell you we've enjoyed working with him in the short time that he has led the ministry. But I did want to say that with all of that change that is around us, what is so important as an institution is that we're really clear on where we're going. We've got a very strong strategic direction in Eyes High. We've got a very, very sound budget model. I think we have an excellent team throughout the university that's working very hard to make sure that we're very focused, very disciplined, and really staying on track. Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be things happening in the broader environment. We have to be focused on our job and really on what we can control. So I wanted to say that despite some of the uncertainty, I'm still very confident of where we sit as an institution. At the federal level, the federal budget was brought down in February. I wanted to say this was some good news for our sector. And I do give credit to the government for, even in tough financial years, it has continued to invest in research and innovation. We saw the announcement of the Canada First Research Excellence Fund. This is a fund of $1.5 billion over 10 years that will start to flow in another year. And it's to support global excellence of research universities, knowledge translation, as well as talent attraction and retention. And as a major research university, we will have a significant impact from that fund. We continue to see investments in the granting councils, the so-called Tri-Council, NSERC, CIHR, and SSHRC. $37 million invested in those three agencies, along with the indirect costs of research. And really this is the bread and butter, if you will. It's really foundational support that's so important to our researchers and to our students to be able to conduct their research programs. We saw continued investments in MyTax, which is industry internships for our graduate students and postdocs, another $8 million. And we saw another significant investment in Aboriginal education, K-12, but $1.25 billion, which will ultimately help impact us in terms of being able to attract more Aboriginal students to our campus. On the provincial front, what we saw was, and this was not unexpected, we had anticipated that the grants to the Campus Alberta system, the so-called Campus Alberta grants, would be flat. That means there would be a zero or no change to our base operating budget. This obviously is challenging in the sense that our costs are going up, and I'll let Drew and Ed talk about that, but this was not unanticipated. What we did see last November, and you'll recall this, is a $50 million injection, or 2.62% increase in our budgets at that time. Of course, that was after a 7.3% cut a year ago, so if you do all the math, we're still down 4.7%. But that announcement in November has been rolled into the base operating budget of the university. But again, that was expected, that was modeled. We also saw the tuition freeze that we were given one-time dollars in this fiscal year will continue on in base dollars for our institution and others across the province. So no real surprises in terms of what was announced. There was some upside. There's $32.5 million that has been targeted to enrollment growth across the province to create 2,000 new full-time spaces, and I'll let Drew talk about how that's impacting our institution. But this is based on proposals that we and other institutions put into the government last September. And that's important given the demand at the University of Calgary and the growth of the City of Calgary. We also saw the reinstatement of what we call the Access to the Future Fund. And this is an endowment in government of which the interest is used to help support matching philanthropic gifts. This program had been suspended a few years ago, and it's been brought back, and this is important so that we can honor some past gifts and into the future support leveraging future gifts to the institution. And finally, I'll mention the creation of a new social innovation fund. This will start to kick off next year with $500 million into the endowment, followed by another $500 million the year after for $1 billion total. Again, the interest on that will help support social policy development, knowledge translation, or putting that into practice, as well as looking at some financial options to help support social innovation platforms. So that is the budget perspective, both federally and provincially. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Drew to be able to start to drill down as to what's happening here at the University of Calgary.